This is a fascinating building in Indianapolis. It was built in the late 60s, and it's an effort of 4 mainline Protestant denominations that came together to work together, to have administrative offices next to each other. A few decades ago, the Jewish Community Relations Council built an office here, or at least an office here. And then just recently, our agency moved in, the International Interfaith Initiative, and we moved in with 4 other agencies, the Muslim Alliance of Indiana, Obat Helpers, which helps a group of refugees in Bangladesh, Cold Springs Institute, which is a think tank, Bridge, which is a youth service organization, and then we have a consultant who works with Tobacco Free Indiana and Oxfam America. So we're really excited to be in this building. It gives us a lot of opportunities like we're going to have today, to have presenters come in and talk about timely and topical issues. And it puts us, again, in with the majority, in with mainline Protestants, so that we can have that conversation, I think, that's so desperately needed in these times, and has been for a long time. I know I first became aware of Muslims as a young man who grew up in Indiana and was schooled here in public and private schools, not until I left the country. It was when I was 20 years old, I decided to hitchhike around the world. I've always had a wanderlust. And throughout my schooling, I was never taught about Islam or Muslims. And I think that's something that was sorely missing from my public and private school education. But I decided to hitchhike. I went through Northern Africa, I went through the Middle East, I spent time in Europe. And through all of my encounters, through all the people that I met in Morocco and Algeria, through parts of Central Africa and Kenya and Juba and Sudan, through Egypt and through the Middle East, I was treated so well as a traveler, as a young, kind of wild American guy who was out to see the world. And I really gave me a very fond memories and a very nice initial understanding of Islam, of the Muslim world, of the Arab world. And it troubles me now to see that, unfortunately, and it's just a fact of the matter, that probably the vast majority, over 90% of Americans, were introduced to Islam on 9/11. And that's just, I think, a very unfortunate set of circumstances, because it's antithetical to the religion, and it's anything but representative. I just brought this out. I've had this on my desk since 1981, and it was given to me by a young man in Rabat, Morocco. His name was Saeed. When I was hitchhiking through, by the time I'd made it through Europe and into Morocco, I was definitely out of my element. The numbers didn't look the same, and everything was different. But he befriended me, invited me to his house. His mother cooked me some meals. And that happened, that was not uncommon as I traveled through Algeria, as I was in Damascus, as I was in Lebanon and Egypt. Just very friendly culture, friendly people. So we're here today to talk about Muslims in America, and we're very fortunate to have the resources and the esteemed panel that we have today. I'm just briefly going to mention a couple of events that we have coming up in the near future. One is our annual conference. It's Interfaith Peace Building. It will be in this building all day, Friday, November 5th. And we have some amazing presenters, IUPUI with the Interfaith Youth Corps. We have a woman from Israel who does Jewish and Arab dialogue, Amy Cronish. We have a Sioux Native American Indian chief, Chief Arvel Looking Horse, and a gentleman from an Iranian American who's going to give his perspective on peace building. On November 17th at the Indianapolis Museum of Art at the Toby, we've got a wonderful musician. His name's Yuval Ron. He's very much about interfaith peace building. His band includes a Turkish whirling dervish. He's got a singer from Yemen. He's got another singer from Pakistan, a drummer from Armenia. So his band is very interfaith in its nature, and he's going to be a wonderful opportunity for you all. So that's on November 17th. Two other things that I have, that we have flyers by the registration table. One is there's a walk this week on Saturday for Pakistani flood relief. If you will pick up that flyer, you can learn how you can participate on that on Saturday. And then the World Church Services in this building has the crop walk every year. And it's a hunger relief, international hunger relief effort. So please look at some of the different literature we have out there during the reception. And I'll also mention, it's been, again, an advantage of being in this building. We're located just down the hall from the Jewish Community Relations Council. And I think as a result of some of the incendiary rhetoric that's been in the news lately, the Jewish Community Relations Council issued this public statement about Muslims in America. It's a very powerful statement. It's signed by a variety of local religious leaders, and I would encourage you to pick up a copy of that before you go. And also a copy of an interfaith statement that was put together by an interreligious group of leaders from Washington, D.C., and one of our panelists, Safaa Zarzour, is actually a signatory on this statement. Both very powerful statements, I think, that speak directly to our American values, and I would encourage you to take a copy of that before you go. finally, we're just in for a treat tonight. We're going to have a wonderful presentation about the history of Muslims in America by Edward Curtis, and following his presentation, we will hear a response from Sheila Suess Kennedy and Safaa Zarzour. I'll give a brief introduction of them, and then I'll turn the microphone over to Edward Curtis.